In the heart of California's Santa Cruz Mountains, a revolutionary experiment in interspecies communication was on the brink of an unexpected turn. Unbeknownst to the scientists, this 44-year-old primate was about to convey a message that would shake the very foundations of human understanding. On a crisp January morning in 2016, Dr. Francine Patterson, Coco's longtime caretaker and the pioneering researcher behind the project, entered the gorilla's enclosure. She anticipated a routine day of communication exercises, perhaps with Coco playfully requesting her favorite treats or chatting about her beloved kittens. However, as Patterson approached, she sensed something was different in Coco's demeanor. The 44-year-old gorilla sat unnaturally still, her eyes fixed on the horizon. When she finally turned to acknowledge Patterson, the intensity in her gaze sent a shiver down the researcher's spine. "Good morning, Coco," she signed, striving to maintain a sense of normalcy. But before she could continue with their usual greeting, Coco's hands began to move with unprecedented urgency. Her gestures were sharp, precise, and imbued with a purpose Patterson had never witnessed before. The gorilla's fingers flew through the air, forming signs at a rapid pace. Patterson's eyes widened as she struggled to keep up with the torrent of communication. This was not their typical exchange about food or play. As Patterson deciphered Coco's signs, her heart began to race. The ordinary day she had expected was evaporating, replaced by a moment that would soon astonish the scientific community and the world at large. Coco had something crucial to express, and humanity was about to receive a startling message from an unexpected source. Dr. Patterson had never anticipated such a shocking development when she first decided to teach sign language to the gorilla. It all began on July 4, 1971, at the San Francisco Zoo, where Coco entered the world as a tiny, vulnerable infant gorilla, unaware of the extraordinary journey ahead. At just 1 year old, fate intervened in the form of Dr. Patterson, then a graduate student at Stanford University with a bold vision. Coco became the centerpiece of an ambitious language research project, one that would challenge our understanding of animal cognition and communication itself. From those early days, Coco displayed an exceptional aptitude for learning. Dr. Patterson began teaching her a modified version of American Sign Language, ASL, and what was initially a 4-year project blossomed into a lifelong quest for understanding. As the seasons changed and years passed, Coco's abilities grew exponentially. By her teenage years, she had mastered over 1,000 signs and could understand about 2,000 words of spoken English. Her ability to combine signs creatively to express complex thoughts astonished researchers, shattering long-held beliefs about the cognitive limits of non-human primates. Coco was more than a subject of scientific inquiry. She was a being of depth and emotion, displaying a range of feelings and behaviors that often seemed strikingly human. She showed empathy, expressed joy and sorrow, and even demonstrated a mischievous sense of humor. Her gentle care for kittens, whom she treated as if they were her own offspring, captured hearts worldwide and revealed the tender soul behind her expressive eyes. In 1976, the Gorilla Foundation was established to support Coco's care and ongoing research, quickly becoming a beacon for those fascinated by animal intelligence and passionate about conservation. Coco's ability to bridge the communication gap between species advanced our understanding of gorilla cognition and raised profound questions about consciousness and our ethical obligations to the animal kingdom. As Coco matured, she evolved into a global ambassador for her species. Her image graced the cover of National Geographic twice, and she engaged in documented conversations with scientists and celebrities alike. One particularly touching moment came when she mourned the death of her friend Robin Williams, a display of emotion that resonated with people around the world. Despite her fame and scientific significance, Coco remained, at her core, a gorilla deeply connected to nature and her instincts. This unique combination of learned human language and innate gorilla wisdom made her sudden urgent communication on that January morning compelling and unsettling. As Dr. Patterson refocused on the moment, watching Coco's hands move with unprecedented intensity, she couldn't help but wonder, what message could be so important that it would drive this usually calm and playful gorilla to such fervent expression? Years of working with Coco had prepared her for many things, but nothing could have equipped her for what was about to unfold. Coco's movements became more deliberate, her eyes filled with purpose. "I am Gorilla," she signed, her gestures crisp and clear. Patterson nodded, recognizing the familiar start to many of their conversations. But Coco continued, "I am flowers, animals. I am nature." The researcher's heart skipped a beat. This was not their usual exchange about food preferences or daily activities. Coco was expressing complex thoughts about identity and her connection to the natural world. Patterson felt a mix of excitement and unease wash over her. In all their years together, she had never seen Coco communicate such abstract concepts with such clarity and conviction. But before Patterson could fully process this philosophical revelation, Coco's signs took an alarming turn. "Man, Coco, love," the gorilla continued, her movements growing more agitated. Patterson recognized the sign for man, a term Coco often used to refer to humans in general. "Earth, Coco, love," came the next phrase, accompanied by a sweeping gesture that seemed to encompass everything around them. Then, with a forceful movement that made Patterson instinctively step back, Coco signed emphatically, "But man, stupid." The gorilla's eyes blazed with a mixture of frustration, concern, and what could only be described as a profound urgency. The implications of Coco's message began to sink in. This was not just communication. It was a judgment, a warning from a being who had spent her entire life bridging the gap between human and animal understanding. Understanding the weight of these words was staggering. Patterson stood frozen, her mind reeling. How could she be sure she was interpreting this correctly? And if she was, what did it mean for their research, for their understanding of animal cognition, and most pressingly, for humanity's relationship with the natural world? After days of intense analysis and heated debates within the team, they realized the magnitude of their discovery was too significant to keep under wraps. Ethical considerations and scientific responsibility weighed heavily on their minds. Eventually, they decided to share their findings with the world. Dr. Patterson, anxious yet excited, approved a carefully worded press release. The Gorilla Foundation's press release was intended to be cautious and measured, but in the age of social media and 24-hour news cycles, caution quickly succumbed to sensation. Within hours of the announcement, #CocoSpeaks was trending worldwide. News outlets scrambled to break down the story. "Gorilla warns humanity," blared one headline. "Coco calls humans stupid, are we?" questioned another. The gorilla who had once charmed the world by adopting kittens was now at the center of a global controversy that transcended the boundaries of science, philosophy, and environmental policy. The reaction was as diverse as it was intense. Environmental groups seized upon the story as a rallying cry. Greenpeace launched a campaign featuring Coco's image with the slogan, "Even she can see it, can you?" Climate activists cited the gorilla's message in protests, holding signs that read, "Coco knows," and "Listen to nature." Political reactions were divided. Some world leaders dismissed the story as a distraction from real issues, while others saw an opportunity. The Prime Minister of New Zealand made headlines by stating, "If a gorilla can understand the crisis our planet faces, surely we can too." Amid this global furor, the Gorilla Foundation found itself under siege. Journalists camped outside their gates, while phone lines were jammed with calls from everyone, from TV producers to government officials. Dr. Patterson and her team, who had dedicated their lives to understanding Coco, now faced the daunting task of explaining her to the world. As debates raged on, a new crisis emerged. how could they convey the nuance and depth of Coco's message in a world prone to sound bites and knee-jerk reactions? More pressingly, how could they ensure this moment led to meaningful change rather than becoming just another fleeting media sensation? As the world buzzed with speculation and debate, Dr. Patterson and her team at the Gorilla Foundation recognized their responsibility extended far beyond their usual research. They needed to capture and convey Coco's insights with precision and clarity. In the weeks following the initial announcement, the team implemented a rigorous new communication protocol. Every interaction with Coco was meticulously recorded from multiple angles. Teams of linguists, primatologists, and environmental scientists worked in shifts, analyzing every gesture, every expression. Coco, seemingly aware of the gravity of her role, became even more expressive, her signs taking on new depth and urgency. In one particularly poignant session, she signed about the beauty of the earth, her gestures flowing like poetry. As the team compiled their findings, they realized they had more than just a scientific paper on their hands, they had a manifesto from nature itself. Dr. Patterson, in collaboration with her colleagues, began drafting a comprehensive report titled The Coco Paradigm, redefining human-nature relationships through interspecies communication. The report was revolutionary in its approach, combining hard data from their research with the emotional resonance of Coco's messages. It drew parallels between Coco's warnings and existing environmental data, creating a compelling case for immediate action. However, the team knew that a report alone wasn't sufficient. They needed to present Coco's message to the world in a way that couldn't be ignored or misinterpreted.